Yeah, record later. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Artist Spotlight. So today we have a special guest from San Diego, Sandra Felemovicius. Am I saying it right? Or Sandra?
Yes. Yes. You're saying it perfectly well. I live in Minnesota, but I'm visiting my parents in San Diego.
Oh, okay. You're in San Diego right now for a vacation.
Yes.
Okay, good. But you're based in
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Okay, that's a totally different weather.
I wish I was here all year long.
Okay. Or maybe too hot. It's a little hot here in Seattle, but yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Sandra, for your time today to chat, and this is the time to get to know you, where you're from and how you get started with your art, and what you're working on. So we're gonna just chat and see where it will take us, right?
Yes, can't wait.
So please tell us about yourself. Where you from, and how you get started with your art.
Well, I was born and raised in Mexico City. I come from a family of immigrants, and my grandparents escaped the war, and they came try to come to Ellis Island. Ellis Island was closed, so they ended up in Veracruz. Some came from Russia, some came from Poland, and then I have a grandmother from Alabama.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a very eclectic group of people that got together.
Nice.
So eventually my family migrated to Mexico City, and that's where I was born and raised. My father is an architect and a developer, and so he always had the eye for design and art and problem solving, and I always saw him drawing on napkins or wherever we were. He would always have a pen in his pocket, and that's the vivid memory that I always have of him. Even now, wherever he is, he tries and draws. And then my mom helped him a lot with the interior design, so I was always very involved in seeing that side of the world and seeing it through their vision. And for them, it was very important that we saw art, and they took us to see all different kinds of buildings and churches and synagogues and museums. And so we were really fortunate that way, that our childhood was very involved in the design world. And so from an early age, I knew I loved it, but I actually hated going to museums as a child.
Well,
it was so
good.
It was so boring, and they took forever, and I got tired, and I just wanted to leave. And
nothing's moving, nobody's dancing, it's quiet.
So for me, it was not fun. But when I graduated from high school, when I was 18, I had the opportunity to live in Florence, Italy for 6 months. And I thought I was only going there to learn Italian and to live and submerge myself in the Italian culture. But then I found this incredible teacher who had an academy of, like, literally, I think there were 13 or 14 students underneath a church. And I walked in there, and I thought, wow, this is just, everything was calling my name. The music, just everything, how he had everything set up for each of their students was incredible. So I started drawing 101 there with him.
Okay, cool.
And that's how I started the love of art, right there in that basement.
So 18, that's how you started, around 18, and then you just start did you go to school? Did you go like after that? You continue
So it's
studying?
funny that you asked that, because you would have thought that after that I would just continue, right? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved it so much. But I came back to Mexico City, and there really wasn't any like careers that I thought would be something that would give me a job after. So
Mm.
I went into business administration,
Okay.
um, which had nothing to do with art, and I hated it, and I wasn't very happy. and so at that point, I met my husband, who's a surgeon, and he
Uh-huh.
wanted to go to the United States to do
Oh.
his residency. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were very young. We got married, and we moved to Minnesota. And I
Ah.
found, when I moved there, the Minneapolis College of Art and Design.
Okay.
So I thought to myself, I'm in a new place. I need to make myself happy. My husband is going to be a resident, and I'm never going to see him. So I better be happy with what I'm doing and
Yeah.
not worry about the future. So
Mm.
I went into fine arts,
Okay.
into the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and I got my degree there.
Okay. In fine art. Yeah.
So it was,
Or in
my
design.
major was furniture design, and then painting was
Okay.
my minor.
Okay.
So yeah. And then
Okay. Cool.
yeah,
And then what's
yeah,
after that? So it's furniture design, huh? I didn't know you go to furniture design.
yeah, I did. I actually hurt myself because
Oh no.
I used to build things out of this limestone that was so heavy.
Oh my God. Okay.
But I love that stone, so I used it in everything that I could. And so when we had to photograph it to, build a portfolio, kind of
Mm-hmm.
hurt my back using it, but it was well worth it. And I use skills that I haven't used since, but it helped me just to create things that um,
Mm-hmm.
and use my imagination in ways that maybe in painting I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And so it was a really fun place to be. You had to do everything from the design to building it to photographing it yourself.
Yeah.
um and so it was a pretty cool way to do things.
Yeah. So when was the time you start doing what you're doing now then from, you know, study furniture design and art, and then the fine art was the minor, now becomes the major.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then when I graduated, and my husband is a resident, and we're living on a very tight budget,
Mm-hmm.
there's no work for me as a fine art person.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really hard to find a job. So I actually went back to school to learn how to draft.
Oh, okay.
So I learned how to draft, and I drafted for an interior designer
Okay.
for a while. And at the same time, I was an art teacher for kids in the afternoon. So I had two jobs
Mm,
that carried me for a while.
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
do you still do some drafting now though? It's funny, drafting, thinking about the word drafting is so like a while back. I don't know if people still do maybe drafting in with software now.
100% with software now. And I have
But when
no
you
idea how to use the software now. So,
but when you
so
when you studied though, it was manual drafting, was it, or
oh yeah,
software?
all of it
Okay.
was manual. There was no software. This was in
Mhm.
96, in
Okay.
1996. So
Okay.
there was no software at all. Everything had to be done, by hand, and
Hmm.
using the rulers, and
The table with
the
the
table with,
automatic
yep,
go up and down. That's kind of, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it was, again, a learning curve for me.
Hmm.
And it gave me a job.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I was able to do that for a while, but it
Yeah.
wasn't my passion. I knew that I was doing that because I couldn't sustain myself
Hmm.
with fine art.
Hmm.
And so and like I said, being in a situation where someone, my husband at the time, as a resident, we were
Oh.
we were trying to figure out a way to make a little more money. And so
Hmm.
so that was the option then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then after, what's after that? So when did you start painting
So
like more.
So then after that, I had my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and I was starting to go back into painting, and I started to do kind of like cartoonish, like
Okay.
for kids, for
Mm-hmm.
my daughter's room. And I started to paint. It was more watercolor, and it was like, you know, animals and just
Yeah.
very cute. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started, and someone saw my work and they said, "Oh, wow, this is really cool. You should sell it in the where they sell everything for babies." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, why
Yeah,
not?"
yeah.
So
Okay.
um so I started kind of like in that route. And
Mm.
then I had my son, so I had a little bit of, a hard time finding time to do it.
Yeah.
And so it just wasn't the perfect time for me to really jump into it. So
Mm.
I had maybe like, I want to say 6 years or so that
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really painting.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity arose back in like 2006 or '07,
Mm-hmm.
where I was referred to this teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to go and take that class.
Okay.
And that really made me decide, okay, this is what I need to be doing. This is what
Yeah.
I want to be doing. And it just felt so good. And I felt like coming back home. It just felt
Mm-hmm.
so comfortable to me to be back, using my hands and dipping my fingers in the paint, and just really immersing myself in painting.
Yeah. And that was abstract art when you back,
So
or
in the
is it
beginning,
different?
it was more like nature wise. It was more like
Okay.
flowers. It was more like um
Oh, yeah.
things that you could see. And I think
Mm-hmm.
because I started to get some commercial work, sometimes abstract work in commercial spaces, the ones that I was working on, like it was like medical clinics and dental clinics. It didn't really mesh with what
Oh, okay.
their vision was. And so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
wanted more like, if a patient was inside of a room, they wanted more flower like and more
Mm-hmm.
like, that kind of thing. And so I think that I just catered to what was coming my way
Mm-hmm.
versus using what was inside of me, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Definitely.
Because
Yeah.
I wanted to make money. And
Sure.
so I wasn't really paying attention to what I wanted to do. And then
Yeah.
I had the opportunity, I was invited to show in a gallery
Yeah.
um, back then. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna do me. And then
Yeah.
it started to submerge the abstract work for that particular show that I did
Mm-hmm.
back then.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of like starting point for you, and keep rolling on that. But at the
Yes, for
same time,
sure.
you're still doing commission work as well. Then I mean, you kind of have to balance the two, right?
Yeah, I've always had to balance both, because I still do a lot of commission work.
Yeah.
In fact, most of my work is commissioned. And
Okay.
so, but I've learned how to balance that myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's been a lot of trial and error. It's been years
Yeah.
of doing that. And so I
Mm-hmm.
love listening to my clients or the designers that I'm working with, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing what they're looking for, but also to have my own voice, because if they're coming
Mm-hmm.
to me, they know what they're going to get. And
Yeah.
so I love, superimposing some of my artwork in their spaces so they have an idea of what they're going to get, so they're not
Mm-hmm.
surprised
Yeah.
as what they're going to get. And so it's this relationship that I love building with them. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they are in Minneapolis, and I invite them in the middle of the process
Yeah.
to
Okay.
see, if
In
they
person.
like what I invite my clients to come
Yeah.
in and
Come in. Yeah.
see the work. And
Mm-hmm.
if they have any input, that will be the time
Yeah.
that I would listen to that input. And
Yeah.
then for the last half of it, then it's me. And so
Mm-hmm.
um so it's a very organic, fluid process.
Yeah.
And I think I found my niche where I find my own voice, even though that I'm doing a commission, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it seems like you have a good process to bring them along in the process.
Yeah,
So it's not a
yeah,
surprise.
exactly. It's not a surprise, and and also sometimes, painting can be lonely if you're in your studio by yourself,
Yeah.
and it's just really fun to bring other people in and have that conversation, and I
Hmm.
really enjoy that part a lot.
Hmm.
And the one commission that I did that was more based, it was completely my idea, and they let me do what I wanted to do. Was I there was an open call for the US Bank Stadium,
Okay.
for the Minnesota Vikings where they play.
Hmm.
And what they did was super cool because the city of Minneapolis wanted local artists to be a
Hmm.
part of the artist collection of the stadium. And
Yeah.
so they reached out to the community, and this agency called Sports and the Arts,
Hmm.
and you submitted your work, and if you got in, it was great. And I was
Yeah.
one of the persons that they
Okay.
they considered me to
Yeah.
do a lot of stuff. And so um I researched in Minneapolis. There's a lot of skyways,
Mm.
and so it's actually, if you put them all together, it's the largest skyway system of the United
Wow.
States.
Okay.
And so I used that for my work at the
Hmm.
stadium because I thought it
Mm.
was like the interconnection
Yeah.
of communication between the city and the people, and how coming and going, and it's this like paths of, it's very geometric at the same time. And I believe there was only like maybe two or three abstract painters that were included in the permanent collection. So I felt very
Yeah.
honored that they chose my work, and it was an honor to work with them. Actually, it was amazing. And then they brought me into their practice facility as well, so I worked
Nice.
there as well for them. So it was really
Nice.
fun. It was
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah.
Is that done, or is you still working on
It's
that?
no, it's
Is
done.
that
It's up.
nice? Okay.
It's amazing. Some of the paintings I'll never see because they're like outside the owner's suite. um, so
Okay. Yeah.
so I won't see them necessarily,
Yeah.
but they did have a huge art opening in the stadium,
Mm.
and it was just so fun to see all
Together.
the art that
Hmm.
that is through the whole
That's fun.
stadium. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. And
That's
so
cool.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
was really fun, and to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and
Mhm.
be a part of a community project was incredible.
Yeah. I bet that's cool. So what uh what inspired you for your work? Um.
I think what inspires me is who I am.
Mm.
Um, my roots coming from Mexico
Yeah.
um, make me um, who I am. I embrace my whole being of a Mexican Jewish
Hmm.
immigrant coming into the United States, being a female, um, and all the adversities that have come my way. I've tried to learn and listen,
Hmm.
and maybe understand and be a little more gentle.
Yeah.
And so, and I think in my work, I try to do that as well.
Mm.
I try to
Mm.
be gentle with myself.
Hmm.
In the beginning, I think I was very strict,
Mm.
and I think as I look back into my work and see what I do now, I just feel more of the freedom, because
Hmm.
I feel I can be me
Hmm.
without any regrets or
Hmm.
explanations as who I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
And I think my work reflects that. And I try to be a very optimistic person,
Yeah.
and happy. And I think that transfers into my work.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So when you do, I think this is the question for a lot of people that doing commission work. Exactly, like how do you balance that between your inspiration when you do your thing, and then somebody else wants to, hey, give me part of your thing. you know. Uh,
So how I do that is I always have 2 or 3 paintings going at the same time.
yeah.
So I
Okay.
have my commission on one side
Mm-hmm.
and then let it go on the other side, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I have the one that I'm working for the people, and I'm very professional on that one, and then
Yeah.
I let loose on the very
Yeah.
next one next to it,
Yeah.
literally. And
Uh-huh.
so,
Uh-huh.
if I feel like I need to do a brush stroke and just go for it, I have the canvas right next to it, so I do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Did you show the options or the different things to your clients, or just the one?
I mean, usually it's the one,
Mm.
because this is what I've been working for, and
Mm-hmm.
so um, I've never really had that moment where they say, "Oh, I want that one,"
Okay.
um, and so, but it's for my own.
Mm-hmm.
That way, I balance myself out,
Okay.
and it feels that I find my own freedom by doing that, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It's
awesome.
funny how it works, but it does somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned about like being part of bigger than yourself, and I know that you've been doing a lot of work of interviewing how many people now?
More than 100 for sure. I don't even know myself anymore. I've kind of lost track of how
yeah.
many. I
Tell
used to
tell
count them in the beginning,
not
but not
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Well, tell us more about that project. That's a big project for you. Um,
So COVID started, and it was very hard for me to understand what was happening in the world like everyone else.
mhm,
And my son was a freshman in the university, and I had to go get him, and he was so depressed that he was home.
mm,
And I said to him, in times of adversity,
mhm,
you know, very good things can happen. It's just
mhm,
the mindset and how we have to change our how we view things. And
mhm,
so, in order for me to show him and give him an example,
mm,
I started to write some ideas of what I could do as an artist.
mhm,
And my husband at the time in 2020, he's a physician, so he was going to the hospital every day. And so
mhm.
the way our lives were changed, like everyone else's, in one day flipped. But
Yeah.
on top of it, we didn't know how to handle our own safety with having a surgeon in the house. And
Yeah.
so there was a lot of moving pieces, and I have asthma, so he wanted to protect me. And so
Mm,
it was just the whole way of cleaning things and doing things that we didn't know at the time, but we were all doing everything that we could to protect ourselves. And so
yeah. Yeah.
um so it was extra tough because
Yeah.
we didn't see anyone at the time, so it was the three of us at home. And my son being from the university and having all his friends and the freedom, all of a sudden he's back with mom and dad, and not so fun
Must
anymore.
be rough. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just started to really just write down, and it happened within 2 weeks of the pandemic. It happened really
Mm,
quick.
okay.
And I just literally called the people that I've taken some workshops with, and that they knew me and that we're friends, and that
Yeah.
they knew that they would trust me with this idea, with this crazy idea that I thought that as a community of people we could
Mm,
help. And I saw that the biggest need in the United States, still now, is
mm,
hunger,
mhm,
which is crazy to think.
mm,
For me, coming from a place of a third world country where people are really starving, and then
yeah.
coming to the United States and then seeing also that here people are starving.
Mm,
And so I decided to help people in need with food. And
yeah.
so my idea was, in the beginning of Tap Into Your Creativity, was
Mhm.
to get a collection. So let's say if I interviewed, at that time I was interviewing two people at a time. So
Oh.
it was Wednesdays and Saturdays. And in turn of the interview, you guys would give me, donate a piece of artwork, and then you would send it to me and I would sell that as a collection. So the first 2 to 3 months were sold as a collection. So
Oh,
the month, yeah, so like the month of April was sold as a collection, the month of May was sold as a collection.
mhm,
And so with that money that, we helped Feeding America. And
mhm,
so, as the time went by, at that time, I didn't even know how to interview people. I didn't know how to, put it up on Instagram because it didn't save on Instagram. So I had to learn everything by myself. Like at
yeah,
night, I would, YouTube everything and
yeah,
just learn everything that I didn't know.
mhm,
So it was a one woman show,
mhm. Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to do everything, like,
yeah,
producing, finding the work, directing, interviewing, and then selling the work. So, as time went by and I knew this could be something, real, that we could actually make a difference as a community of artists to the greater community, I decided to, instead of selling it as a collection, to sell it every time we have an artist coming in.
mhm,
And
mhm,
that way the collector makes a donation directly to Feeding America, and then the
yeah,
artist sends the artwork directly to that collector.
yeah,
And so everything is very transparent. 100% of the proceeds go to Feeding America. There's no doubt where the money is going.
yeah,
We've raised over $35,000, which means like more than 350,000 meals,
yeah.
um, for
That's
people
awesome.
in need. So it's been quite the ride, I have to say.
Yeah.
I've met incredible people like yourself.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh,
I feel like we've become friends. I've never
mhm.
met you physically, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's just incredible because I reached out to people from all over the world, and it's just
Mhm.
been absolutely a joy. And it has enriched my life in ways that I could never have thought.
Yeah. That is yeah, that's an incredible project. I can't imagine. You do that at almost was it every week, right?
Yeah,
When
I'm
you
taking some time off right now.
okay.
I'm taking it easy, and here and
Good.
there, I'm doing an interview here and there. But I also need time to, replenish myself and
Of
and
course.
and just,
Yeah,
take time to be with my family now and
that's good.
just really enjoy life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think tap into your creativity will always be there for me,
Mhm.
because also, we have a following from Tap Into Your Creativity that love to hear, the process and the inspirations from other artists. I think it's so important to, what I found out is, us artists are so willing to share so many things,
Mhm.
more now than ever. I
Yeah,
think before people didn't share because they thought, oh, they're going to copy what I'm doing, or, things
yeah.
like that.
That's
And
always
and
yeah.
I haven't found that at all with
Mhm.
my army of artists. On the
Mhm.
contrary, I think I've found the opposite of that. I think people are willing to share and to help people at home,
Mhm.
with any questions that they had. So I kind of open my, not only to artists, but, to tech savvy people, to galleries, to interior designers. And so, there's a lot of, content for
Mhm.
artists,
Mhm.
on how to. And so, and it's all free. You can go
Yeah,
on YouTube and find my channel. It's all free. It's all there. It's all
yeah.
for you guys to enjoy and hopefully learn from all of you.
I bet we'll. Yeah. We'll put that links too on the
Yes, and there's, so I just, finished the catalog, the first
Mhm.
edition, of Tap Into Your Creativity. So if you purchase that,
Yeah,
that you will put in your links, you will also be helping Feeding America. And
yeah,
so, it's really cool because you can see all the artwork
yeah,
from all of you guys.
yeah.
You have a little blurb of each of you, where we can find you, and then the picture of the donation piece.
How many artists in that catalog you have?
Mm. I think maybe like 70 something.
Okay.
So it's definitely a labor of love. It's a
Of course.
lot of work, a
Yeah.
lot of work
Gathering. Oh, yeah.
and gathering, and and also for the artist to know that I won't be using their images for anything else but the
Mhm,
catalog. You guys
mhm.
needed to sign,
Yeah.
a document that said that. So
Yeah.
everything is very transparent, everything is very honest, and I think that's why tapping to your creativity has been
Yeah.
so cool, because
Oh, yeah.
it's just so fun, and
Hmm.
we needed a distraction,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now it's become more of a platform where people want to be a part of it because
Yeah.
it's so fun.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So what? So now you're taking a break, but are you still painting or here and there, or
So,
yeah?
I just finished a show in my
Hmm.
studio,
Okay.
and I did some new stuff that I've been playing around with. I started
Mhm.
to do some monoprints, and that was a new whole um, medium for me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I studied with Jane Davis back a year ago,
Hmm.
and I used the jelly plate, and it was really
Okay.
cool to use that jelly plate. So I've been playing a lot with it, and I did some acrylic trays with it, and I did a bunch of like just fun different things. And um, thank God everybody loved them. I sold out of them, so now I have to redo them. And
Okay, that's good.
but it's I'm always trying to learn something new, stay
Yeah.
fresh,
Yeah.
um, feel uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
being okay with feeling uncomfortable. I think
Hmm.
that's very important as an artist.
Yeah.
And not always, you're never going to find the same groove every day, right? You have to
Yeah. Yeah.
adjust to your pattern and listen to that voice. And
Hmm.
I feel like learning new things, even if you feel uncomfortable, it's when you learn the most and when you
Right.
grow the most.
Yeah. 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 So the jelly plate, did you use acrylic on paper, or what's the
Yep,
wood or
yep.
paper?
Acrylic, open acrylics because they last a little longer. And
Hmm.
so, and then I used whatever piece of paper that I had. And
Hmm.
then, you know, we used, uh, it's like a collage at the end of the work, because
Okay.
you can do this, you can use the same paper again and again to create different effects on the
Okay.
same paper.
Okay.
But if you're seeing something that you like,
Hmm.
I'm cutting it and then I'm pasting it, and it's like a
Uh,
visual sentence. And
hmm.
so you're cutting things, you're putting things together, and
Hmm.
then it's just a really fun way to do it. And I'm not really a collage person, and I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
really used collage in my work. But by using the jelly plate, it almost like um, forces you to see it in a very different light. And so your eye
Hmm.
is kind of just looking at things a little
That's
differently.
different. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I really enjoyed that process. It's
Yeah.
just really fun because it's a surprise. You
Right.
never know what
Right.
you're going to get, because
Yeah.
it's you're playing with a positive and negative, right? And
Right.
so when you're pulling that paper, it's like,
Hmm.
oh,
Oh,
you know,
Christmas time.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if you're not doing anything, try it out. It's just
Yeah.
so
So
fun to
fun.
do,
Yeah.
It's just so, like I see you doing your little collages, and how
Mhm.
you put your stuff together, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like this way. It's like
Yeah.
constructing to deconstruct to construct again.
Yeah. Wow. Say that again.
Constructing to
Yeah.
deconstructing to construct
To construct
again.
it again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why kids like my daughter love playing with stamps. It's the surprise thing that although it's different, but it's the same feeling of revealing something that unknown, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, that's so
Exactly.
fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so what else are you working on other than that? Not other, but you know, other than this million things that you've been doing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
I'm always
relaxing is good.
working.
So, I'm
I'm
talking
always
with you
working.
instead of,
Yeah, I'm almost. I feel like I like to be busy. I like to keep myself occupied. I think using my mind and physically being uh, busy is something
yeah.
that I love being. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
someone that can just sit around and do nothing. So
Yeah.
that's why I have a lot of projects going at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because of tap into your creativity, my personal work has suffered a bit
Mm.
because I haven't given it the time that I usually gave
Mm.
2 years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Yeah.
So now it's really finding that balance for
Mm-hmm.
me to be in my studio and really dedicate myself to do a whole new body of work.
Yeah.
And that has been the most trying thing because tapping to your creativity was something that I needed to put in place, or that I thought that I needed to put in place first. And I feel comfortable now. I don't have to, work
Mm-hmm.
as hard as I did in the beginning because now I feel more comfortable. Now I understand what I'm doing. Now I have more of a knowledge of how to interview people and how to feel comfortable in front of a camera. And so that has helped me now. Um, I'm giving myself until September to just kind of chill and then go full force in my studio
Okay.
and find that balance.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, so one last thing before we wrap up, I guess. Um, do you have advice for, for other artists or for your young self? I like to talk to my young self a lot. So maybe you have something else,
To my young self, I think I would say if I had to do fine arts all over again as a
Mm-hmm.
degree,
Mm-hmm.
I would say learn a little bit about business and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, those two things with the fine art, I think, is the key for today.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, Sandra, job well done. You're doing good.
Yeah.
You're doing good for others. You're doing good for yourself. So I would kind of pat myself in the back, I think.
Yeah. Awesome.
And for other artists, I would say, listen to your heart and follow the crumbs because it will lead you to something really special. Get yourself out of your comfort zone. Get on the uncomfortable place. And that's where you're going to learn a lot. And let it guide you where you need to be, because there's no answers to everything. You just need to start, and by start meaning buy one painting, one brush, and you don't need more than that. Just start, and then that will lead you to something.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome, Sandra. So thanks again for your time and your story and your last wisdom there. I guess that's it for today, unless any other last words before we go.
No, I think we covered it all. And if you guys want to continue supporting Tap Into Your Creativity, please buy the catalog. And you can find me on Instagram at Sandra Feli Art, as well as my website, Sandra Feli Art. You can also buy it from my website and from my link tree on Instagram. It's right there.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend.
You have a great rest of the day or the week. And
thank you, Nino, so much. I so appreciate you.
Thank you too. All right. Bye.
Bye.